What is going on? And welcome back to another episode of the Pace and Space podcast right here on Pick Swap Media, as well as the Gambler Gang YouTube channels. Check it out on our socials for me, Sean Barnard, Sam Oshtry, and Sean Brace. So running 3 wide today on the sticks and got plenty of NBA action to dive into. So the season in its full swing. We got the NBA Cup final tonight and a little referee rant that I do got to discuss myself. So excited to get into it all. Sean Brace, welcome back to the program here. Appreciate you for joining us.
Oh, a lot to discuss, boys. I'm super excited about Paul George. I've said 2 nice things about him already this season, which is 2 more than I did all last year. So I know we're going to be talking some 76ers, NBA Cup Finals. I'm telling you, continue to get your jokes in, people. It's the first time a team's going to win an NBA Cup championship. Whatever. We're not going to be saying it 20 years from now. They have something. All right. I don't care if they move it out of Vegas. And tonight you're going to see a very good final, I believe, hopefully 2.5-point spread that we're going to be breaking down. But the Knicks and Spurs, I love it. Let's go.
Yeah, final that doesn't even count towards the record books or on the win totals. Really means a lot. But it's great whenever we're 3 wide here. It makes my day. Where's she going? It makes my week whenever the boys get back together. So let's have a show.
Well, you mean to tell me the banner hanging up in MSG hallways doesn't mean anything?
That's going to mean a lot if they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. It won't mean much.
Hey, it's out there in Los Angeles. We got a banner out there for the Lakers there. Set the precedent with it. Wow. So, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Before we talk into the NBA Cup final, which I do want to dive in particularly into that matchup and talk pretty heavily about the Spurs, to be honest, because that is a team that has certainly climbed on my radar to a fuller extent here. Victor Wembanyama just about it in a way that I think deserves the full recognition. I got to lead with one of my least favorite basketball topics, and that is refereeing as a whole. Now, what sparked this was initially, and I kind of have 2 examples. One right here at home with the Philadelphia 76ers, and the second with the Rockets and Nuggets game last night that I would touch on both. The play that I did want to pull up was ultimately what ended the Sixers versus Hawks game, and at this point, I do want to pull it onto the screen here. You can see the context of the game, that this is a 1-point game, 2.5 seconds left remaining, and this was ultimately called a foul on VJ Edgecombe, not a backcourt violation, as I read this here. Now, the Sixers, Nick Nurse, every player in its entirety, absolutely ripped to it. Al Abdunabi on the call is all over it, saying that should have been a backcourt. Nick Nurse tried to challenge, ultimately was not declared. You can see Nickeil Alexander-Walker taking the ball backcourt here. I thought this was backcourt live. That was my immediate reaction here. Not only was I kind of upset about that, but I think the worst look is the official NBA referee just like dunking on the Sixers broadcast. But Brace, I'll throw it to you first. What was your immediate reaction to that? I still think the referees got that one wrong.
Immediate reaction was backcourt. It's thin, man. It's it could be considered no possession, right? Like, yeah, there's so much going on with feet in the NBA, right? And possession and the pickup, and it's not a travel. So, like, I do get some of these wrong from time to time, and to the definition of the rule. And I think that's what we're sitting at or staring at right now. It's the definition of the rule. He did not have possession. I hate, in my eyes, it looks like he has it. It clearly looks like he could put a dribble down. He didn't. It's just it's a tough call and bang call. And I think the whole ability to challenge it though irked me. Yeah. But as far as the call on the court, I have to go with what they said.
Sam?
It would definitely look like a backcourt when you're watching it live. You're yelling just like Nick Nurse and Oliver. Yeah. This is easily a backcourt. But when you actually listen to the referee's explanation, it kind of makes sense, where it's like he didn't have the momentum or actual possession of the ball, and his momentum was bringing him to the backcourt, even though his feet touched in the front court. So you understand it from that perspective. But then the NBA said it was in the official rule book of this word momentum, where if you don't have possession, you can bring it back. But it's not. It's not actually in the rule book, and it's very vague language. What does momentum even mean? There's no real concise rule or ruling for it. And the problem is that the NBA actually has numerous cases in the past of this situation where guys caught the ball, not the exact situation, but guys had touched the ball in the front court, wasn't exact sure if it was possession or not, brought them to the back court, and it wasn't called this. So whether the ruling on the floor was correct or not, I don't like the rule. your feet go into or touching the front court and you go into the backcourt, that's a backcourt violation. So I don't know exactly. It's very hard to know whether this should have been called or not. But I don't like the rule if that's the actual rule, because that should have been backcourt. If you watch an NBA basketball game, you should not be allowed to do what they did.
Yeah, I actually still feel pretty confident that they just got this one wrong straight up. And to give the exact letter of the law definition, this coming from the NBA rulebook itself, this is section 3E on the out of bounds and throw-in section. It says any ball out of bounds in a team's front court or at the midcourt line cannot be passed into the backcourt. On all backcourt or midcourt violations, the ball shall be awarded to the opposing team at the midcourt line and must be passed in the front court. The exception is during the last 2 minutes of play in the fourth period and the last 2 minutes of any overtime period, the ball may be passed anywhere, front court or back court, onto the court. However, if the ball is thrown into the front court and an offensive player on the court fails to control the ball and causes it to go into the back court, the team may not be the first to touch the ball, which to me is exactly what happened there. Now, what I honestly have more of a problem with than the call itself is the official NBA referee's account comes over the top, quote tweets the video, which shout out to Aaron Grugan of Liberty Ballers, who's the video I just played there, and tweets, "This was not a backcourt violation and has never been a backcourt violation. For those calling a game, there is a responsibility to know the NBA rules and explain them correctly in order to properly educate the fans."
Who do you think runs that account? Who runs that account?
I don't know. I'm
Tim
not
Donahue.
sure pulling the strings of it. Yeah. To give their bio, what this is, the at official NBA refs, their bio is encouraging communication, dialogue, and transparency with NBA fans while offering expertise from our elite group. Let's talk. Official account of the NBA refs. That is not at all what you were doing there, because you were just straight up being a dick to Allah, to be honest here. And he was doing his job here. I have way more of a problem with them being over the top on what at best is a gray area sort of call.
They've had enough. They're like, you know what? We're putting our foot down. Enough is enough. And this is the time that we're going to take a shot at an announcer. Yeah. There has been plenty of other cases that have been way more drastic, more dramatic than what Allah said in that game. And a heck of a lot more controversial. How about last night? Last night, I think, got a little spicy on the broadcast. Definitely got spicy in the post-game presser. That's for sure. I know we'll talk about that one. But look, it was a tough loss. Forgive me not remembering exactly what the box score was in that game, but it was a very winnable game. And that was one that I came away going, okay, Paul George is just starting to get me a little bit excited right now. No Tyrese Maxey, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Back-to-back that he's missed with the illness. Should be back for the next game.
Yeah.
The whole tweet was really just weird, because it was
right.
Even if the call was right. And look, the last 2-minute warning actually said that the call was right, but those can be a little iffy sometimes. And like you said,
again,
the language
used momentum, which, as you mentioned, it's in the whole rule book. It's used one time, and it has to do with fan interference. It's nothing in this context.
The language is vague, and it's a gray area, like you said, but it was way over the top. Any broadcaster, color commentator would have called that out, because that's what every viewer is thinking. Is you're watching that, you're like, how is that not backcourt? That's backcourt. So the color commentator, Allah, did a great job calling that out, actually. But it was very personal, the shot they took on Twitter, for whatever reason.
Yeah, very. And Brace, I appreciate the segue here. As I did want to pull up this little rant from E. Udoka following the post game last night. So kind of a controversial ending a little bit with the Nuggets and Rockets as well that I do want to dig into. But first, let's get the head coach's thoughts himself, as he had some pretty pointed comments after the game.
Part of the BPL, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, just in general, I think it's a poorly officiated game I've seen in a long time. Two have no business being out there, and the crew chief is acting starstruck. So you're seeing all kind of inconsistent calls. And I'm sure we should have got a few more texts.
What do you say to your team when a game is being called the way that it was tonight?
Keep being who we are. We're not going to adjust to poor officials. So we're going to do what we do, and hopefully they can adjust and call it the right way.
If you're going to get the foul, might as well make it worth it, fellas. This is kind of how I looked at that one. So I appreciate him going to bat for his team. I like when coaches do that sometimes. And I did think last night was a situation that called for a little bit of criticism. So, Brace, I know you were locked in on that game. What were your initial thoughts seeing that?
Yeah, look, it's ticky-tack, right? And you know that Joker's going to get some of those calls. It's just the way it works out, and they were at home. It was a great game. This is the second time that they've met up. Matter of fact, the first time that we did this show, or I joined you guys, I was ranting and raving. I'm like, give me 7 games. Yeah. Like, give me 7 games between those two teams. They were all filling it up. We got overtime. Jamal Murray was good for 35. Sengun was a bad man down low. I think he finished with a triple-double, if I'm not mistaken.
33, 10, and 10.
But, you watch the Nuggets, and boys, I know we're going to be down there for the Sixers and Nuggets January 5th. I can't wait to see the signs that Sean Barnard makes to hold up. I don't know. I'm curious. Do you still have Kelly Olynyk in front of him as one of the greatest players of all time? I tweeted Sean Barnard earlier, Sam, because it's insane what he is doing this year.
Absolutely.
Last night, 39, 15, and 10. He's scoring a career high 29.8 points per game. Career best 43%.
That's the craziest one. The guy is shooting 43% from 3. And he's the greatest passer in the game. He's the best big man. He's the most efficient post player in the game. But he happens just to be able to shoot 43% from 3. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I just to close it up on what I was seeing last night, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like super enthused because this is a great game. I know we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be seeing him coming up here on the 5th, and I've seen Joker, and I think I've seen a Joker versus Embiid. I definitely seen Joker play. Not sure if Embiid played that game or not, but
that would drop 47 probably. That one against him.
There you go.
Yeah,
I would just say, like, I'm watching and I'm trying to say, like, in my mind, all right, let's put him up against some of the better centers visually. Like, and once you bring him, I don't care who it is, if they have to go out there and meet him, they're done. Shaq says barbecue chicken. Shaq, you're going to get your points. There's no doubt about that. But, like, it's barbecue chicken. The dude is Teflon out there. And if you give him an inch, he's going to make the shot. He's got that high arc, bring down the rain. Oh, by the way, you get a face in your hand, someone cuts, boom, he's no-look pass. He's incredible. And I know we know that. But, like when you have Royce O'Neal in front of him, like, I have to question things. That's all. And it was an impressive display and a great game. And as I said, everybody filled it up. Oh, by the way, how many injuries? They're down. What? Yeah. Aaron Gordon. Who else are they down?
Christian
They're down.
Braun.
Julian Strother. Yeah, they're battling.
And how about that? To that point, Spencer Jones, the undrafted rookie, he's been awesome. And he had a huge clutch 3 in that game. And the shot making to finish that fourth quarter and send it to overtime yesterday was unbelievable. You had a Reed Shepherd 3, a Jokic 3, Spencer Jones 3. KD hit a huge 3. It was unbelievable shot making. Like you said, it was a night where the stars were out. Sengun and KD carry the Rockets, and Jamal Murray, who, by the way, is also having a career year. Career high in 3-point percentage, points, assists, and rebounds. So all this talk about Jamal Murray starting season slow, he's been great to start this season. I don't even know if that's going to earn him an all-star appearance because the West is that deep, especially at the guard position.
And people want to keep this Jokic non-all-star bit alive.
If he doesn't get it, then he's not an all-star. But he's still playing at an all-star level right now. And the fact that he looks healthy to start the year, and they're doing this while missing 2 of their starters, it's really impressive what the Nuggets are doing, 1-5 in a row. And even the Rockets, too. So everyone's talking. They slipped to 5th in the West. But everyone's talking about Thunder and Thunder this, Thunder that. It's over. The Nuggets and Rockets are coming, and you saw that last night.
Yeah, and Spurs as well. I want to make sure we tie into that conversation. But to keep it on this game for the short term, I'm glad you shout out Spencer Jones. That was one of my takeaways last night. The dude clocked 40-plus minutes as an undrafted rookie there. The dude can just play basketball. Like, he's another one of those guys that is high IQ, knows how to make the right reads, was an impact player all 4 years at Stanford, was never really like one of my guys coming out of college. But last night was a moment where it's like, okay, I see the vision for how this guy can stick in the league for the long term here. And when you surround Jokic with those type of players, good things are going to happen. I'm glad you hit on Jamal Murray because that's been a big part of my critiques for a lot of this Jokic conversation, is it being acted like this dude is a scrub. Jamal Murray is one of the better players in basketball, straight up. One of the top 30 at worst players in the league, and has had some really high highs in the postseason right there. I thought last night they don't win that game without Jamal Murray taking over for several moments in that game right there. And I think that's been the story for a lot of playoffs. So I think Jamal Murray, if we're having this conversation, deserves a little bit more love and has a case for maybe the most underrated player in the league.
He's scoring his highest to 24.9 in points.
Efficiently.
Yeah, he's absolutely crushing it right now. Also shooting 44% from downtown. Yeah, you're right. Like, when you start talking about Jamal Murray and what he brings to the table, he's a guy that doesn't shy away from the moment. That's the first thing that strikes me. He's a guy that you can bank on. Remember those conversations of just pleading to the 76ers, like, man, can you just find a way to resemble their 1-2 punch between Murray and Joker, and with Embiid and Maxey. And
they got there, but Embiid was in a wheelchair by the time they did.
Hey, he might be turning back the clock. We're not
about
him dead right here. Yeah.
I know. And I'm with you. But look, to put a bow on it from my perspective, just from when we start talking about the West, I know that was 16 straight. The Spurs were able to finally take down Oklahoma City Thunder, which is great. We all need to see this. Everybody's already pleading, oh, it's going to be so boring. Relax. We'll see what happens. It's the regular season. I'm not going to get too carried away. But if you're not watching the Oklahoma City Thunder because you're bored, then shame on you. I would just say that. But let's not also pour dirt on the Nuggets, the Spurs. Look, from the gambling perspective, there's money to be made there too. There's things to make it like really interesting if you want to ride with one of those other teams, because Oklahoma City is such a strong favorite, and rightfully so. But I'm really, really enthused about what I saw in that game from the Spurs perspective, going back and looking at it and how they were able to defeat OKC in that semifinal game. And it's not a fluke. And I know, Sean, you believe in them a little bit more than I do. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, let's keep it right there. Sam, you want to jump in before I dive fully in on the Spurs?
I'm not going to let you prop up Jamal Murray.
Okay.
Only for the purpose of bringing down Jokic, which is exactly what you were doing there.
The purpose is because he's a very good basketball player.
I'm not going to let you get away with it. Jamal Murray's awesome for sure.
Yeah.
And he is an all-star level player, even though he's never made a team. He's one of the better guards. You need great players to win this league. That's the bottom line. You need great players to win this league. Doesn't matter if you've the best, if you've set Michael Jordan times 7. If you're not surrounded by other great players, you can't win this league. And that's why the Nuggets won a championship, because Jamal Murray was that special during that playoff run. But the reason why they haven't been part of it in the last few years, or the years they didn't win, was because Jamal Murray either wasn't healthy to start the season or to finish the season. But now he looks like he's healthy at this point, and hopefully that continues all the way through because they need him.
Yeah, I mean, he is the co-star. He is one of the best players in the league, and he's a guy, and I agree with this point right here from shout out guy Rocky the Birds fan, on fire with the comments as always. AG does little things to win. Do they have a chip without Aaron Gordon? I think absolutely not is the answer to that question right there. But you're right. It is about building a team around their star, and Denver's done that at a high level. Now, a team that I also think is doing this at a very high level is the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to be the Spurs guy on this podcast right here. I view them as legitimate threats this season. I think that they're taking the leap. Do I think that they win the championship or win the West? Probably not, but am I ruling them out completely? No, I think if we're having a breakdown for the hierarchy of the Western Conference, that the Thunder are the clear 1-1. And then in that next mix right here, I view it very evenly among the Spurs, the Rockets, and Nuggets. You can give me a case for the Lakers. You can give me a Timberwolves case if you really want to. But I think the top 4 of the West is the Thunder, Spurs, Rockets, and Nuggets, and whatever you want to order than that. Sam Oshtry, I know you've been a bit more skeptical, and you talk a lot about the timelines, the youth of this. Did them having that big boy victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder, in which Victor Wembanyama is screaming after missed free throws, hitting big shots, talking all sorts of trash to Alex Caruso, did that change the way that you viewed this overall team?
Not really. Really impressive win by the Spurs. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah. Super impressive win, and that kind of speaks to that this young core is closer than we even thought they would be. And this roster is awesome. Think about this. De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama have only played 9 games together now. Those 2 guys are now healthy and presumably going to be playing together for the next few months if they both stay healthy. That's big. Then you talk about Dylan Harper, who's had a great breakout rookie season. He doesn't even have to do too much because of the town he's surrounded with. Stephon Castle's having an unbelievable year. A great pick and roll playmaker, perfect pairing with Wemby. They have so much speed. And then when you put Wemby in there, and look, they were 8-3 without Wemby when he was out with the calf strain. Now he comes back and they beat the Thunder, where he came off the bench in that game, believe it or not. But when he's out there defensively, they're unbelievable. But forget about those stars. I love Luke Cornett. This guy is an unbelievable roller to the rim, screener. He can rebound the basketball. Of course, he's not the defensive presence Wemby is, but he's a really solid role player. And then you add in like a Harrison Barnes, where if you double Wemby or if you worry so much about the gaps of De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle getting downhill, Harrison Barnes is shooting over 40% from 3 this year. He's been an incredible catch-and-shoot guy. Keldon Johnson has been a great catch-and-shoot guy. He's a good three-point shooter. Then Vassell's a good defender. Like, this team is really, really complete, and they have a great young core. Here's the problem with what you just said, though. There's no precedent in NBA history for teams making the playoffs in their first year and making a run. So when you really want to consider the contenders, to me, that's like, who is an actual chance where I wouldn't be shocked if they made the NBA Finals? I would be shocked if the Spurs made the NBA Finals. You don't just get into your first playoff appearance and then make a finals run. It doesn't happen. And that's why I don't view the Spurs as a real contender.
You're right. Historically, my pushback would be that there is no historical precedent for a guy named Victor Wembanyama either. And that is really what I'm buying into the vision. The two-way impact that he brings is absurd, just changing shots. And the dude is about the smoke in a way that I don't think gets enough attention. He is not Mr. Nice Guy out there. He wants everything. He wants to talk trash. He wants to get in guys' faces. And like that should be, I think, acknowledged a little bit more upfront. But Brace, what is your thoughts on the outlook of the Spurs and how much that game changed the way you view them?
Yeah, what do you have? 22 and 21 minutes.
Yeah.
Pretty darn good there. That's going to help out the average. And then they play pure and ethical basketball, as he said, taking a nice shot at them. Look, I love, give me some squabbling over there in West. Again, it's a little boring for a lot of people. So you got to shake it up and you got to come at the king, but you best not miss. And they did not miss in that semifinal game. We'll see if that's able to carry over and maybe in a 7-game series in the playoffs. But OKC is the real damn deal. But back to the Spurs, as everything you guys have already laid out, they have a great list of talent. You know, the moves that they were able to make last year, carrying over, of course, with the draft pick as well, throwing that into the mix. They've built up something nice in San Antonio, and it's all revolving around that man in the middle, that alien on the outside, wherever he is on the floor. And it was pretty cool to see the Amazon crew all like just watching him as he's taking the, we're talking about Hall of Famers, Vince Carter, Dirk, Steve Nash, and all of them are just like jaws on the floor of Wemby warming up before the game. I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought that was pretty telling at the same time. Sam, I'm with you. It's baby steps. Baby steps when it comes to awards. You don't see guys just kicking the door and winning MVPs or Rookie of the Years or, a Player of the Year, whatever it may be. And the same thing when it comes to success in the playoffs, because those lights shine bright and the pressure is the real deal. I think the Spurs can handle the pressure. I really do. I think the Houston Rockets can handle the pressure. I just don't know about the matchup with OKC and the Nuggets, but if you had me rank them right now, I'm still going to back Denver. And especially the 2 times that I've watched Denver take on the Houston Rockets, if that team plays OKC for 7 games, again, you guys know more about the pace and space and the X's and O's and the matchups, but I would say I'm giving the Nuggets a puncher's chance to knock out OKC in a 7-game series.
And I completely agree. The Nuggets were my preseason pick, and I'm not going to wave off that right now. I'm still going with the Nuggets at this moment in time, even though the Thunder are the easy answer. But back
you and Wilbon are the only 2 people that said the Oklahoma City Thunder are not going to win it all this year.
I'm standing by it. Look, I'm standing by it. It's hard to go back to back in this day and age. But back to the Spurs conversation, there is a formula, and it's not like a foolproof formula, but what the Thunder were doing in that game, what you've seen teams do is put smaller guys on Wemby and get super physical with them. And almost
how'd that go?
Those guys are at his knees a little bit. And look, it's not a foolproof plan. It's not always going to work, but you saw Alex Caruso guarding Wemby for stretches in that game. And you're going to see smaller defenders. And then he still struggles when you have a smaller defender on him and you have kind of like a 5, your real center roaming, and you send those doubles at him. He still has a ways to go as a passer out of double teams. So that's just not going to develop in a 7-game series against really good teams, where the scouts and the game plans are all incredibly detail-oriented, 10 times more than they are during the regular season. And that's why teams struggle and stars struggle in their first playoff appearance. So I'm not giving it to the Spurs just yet. Even the Thunder were an anomaly in that case, where they only had 1 playoff exit. Like, they made the playoffs, they lost in the second round to the Timberwolves, and the next year they won the finals. That's even super rare. But they had to go through some playoff scar, and everyone has to, and that's what I'll always stand by, and the Spurs will too.
Yeah, I think that is the more likely outcome of this, but I will just say, my eyes are telling me believe in this team. And a guy that I think has flown under the radar here that I want to give some more love to is Stephon Castle, dude. he is relentless. Like, he has a little bit of the Russell Westbrook like mentality where he just attacks the glass. And I think he's a higher IQ basketball player than Russell Westbrook for sure there. But the way that he kind of can fill up the stat sheet in every little category there really stands out to me. That's a guy I want to go to war with. And I think that he's been tossed to the side in a lot of these guard conversations. Sam, I think you and I sort of settled on it last week that I wouldn't accelerate the timeline by making a Giannis deal if I'm the Spurs right now. I'm completely content sitting back and allowing all these guys to develop together. I do think that is the pathway. And you're right. Like, Wemby, certainly, he's not perfect yet. The dude's 22 years old, still figuring things out at the NBA. But I will also note, like, I thought he did just fine down the stretch in that game with Alex Caruso. And Caruso, by the way, had the same success against Jokic in the postseason as well. So this is a unique guy that can do that stylistically. There's not a lot of teams that offer that type of skill set. Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll jump.
Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
I'm kind of curious on your take, Brace, on the Giannis situation, because that's something Barnard and I talked about last week, where we both don't believe that you pull that trigger for Giannis if you have the young core that the Spurs have. Or, of course, the Thunder wouldn't do it because they just won a championship and are on a record pace for wins this season. But even a team like the Rockets, who have the young core but also the necessary vets to win it. If you're any three of those teams, I'm not pulling the trigger and trading valuable young pieces for Giannis. No matter how great Giannis is and how he can elevate your championship ceiling, I'm just not doing that.
Yeah, I would prefer to see it more from the Rockets' perspective. I don't know why that is. It's the gut feel. Durant in there in the mix, and I think the pieces that you would have to give up a little bit, more of a replaceable from Giannis's perspective, even though he's just incredible. So he's going to replace whoever. But you're talking about Sengun being involved in that deal last time, and that dude's a beast. It's just like, all right. From the Spurs perspective, no, I think like we've just given them all the praise in the world in the last two seasons, what they've built up. Wemby, we're going to talk about this game in great detail. Should very well be the best player on the floor 95% of the time he takes the court. So from the Spurs, they got a good thing going. Yeah, I knew that question was going to be answered differently there. I would just say, the Spurs seem to be doing things the right way. And when you do make that move, it changes everything. Now we're talking about expectations, a little bit easier in a place like San Antonio versus other locations in the NBA as far as cities are concerned. But I would say easy from the Spurs perspective. Take what you got going right now. Continue to build it the right way. Giannis is a great player. Love Giannis. We went through his credentials. It's just unbelievable career he's already had. He's a champion, but I would hold off if I'm the Spurs. They got something going special right now.
Yeah, I think that is the takeaway. And we still got a ways to work through before we know who is crowned NBA champion. But the NBA Cup champion, we will find out tonight. And the San Antonio Spurs competing for that as well. So Spurs versus Knicks. The Knicks, of course, taking down the Magic to pave their path. The Spurs getting through the Oklahoma City Thunder, which we just discussed right there. I'll lead right off here that I like the San Antonio Spurs tonight. I like the -2.5. I like Victor Wembanyama to block double-digit shots in today's game. That's what I'm feeling confident about. Sam Oshtry, where are you at in this game?
Spurs are plus 2.5, right? Spurs are plus 2.5.
Correct.
My fault. Yeah, I like them on the money line then. Yeah, I might even alternate line. I think they take care of business tonight.
Yeah, you guys might be shocked to hear this, but I like the Spurs too. I think the Spurs win tonight. I don't agree with that. That's a Wemby. Rocky the Birds fan got it wrong. We appreciate your support, but I don't have the Knicks tonight. I think the Spurs are a classic NBA Cup champion team, a really good regular season team that's talented, and a team that loses in the first round of the playoffs. And that's what we've seen in the last two seasons, the Lakers and Bucks. It's like you have to be a good team to win enough games to win the NBA Cup, but it really means absolutely nothing for your long-term diagnosis of how you finish the regular season. And both those two teams lost in the first round of the playoffs. I think based on how the seeding will work out and how deep and tough the West is, the Spurs will lose in the first round of the playoffs. So I can see the Spurs winning this game. I don't agree with your prediction of 10-plus blocks. That's ridiculous against the Knicks, who are one of the most fundamentally sound teams. All those guys play off 2 feet, drive, kick. Those guys.
That's why he's going to block shots. Is why, because they play off 2 feet, getting the rim.
They play off 2 feet. That prevents them from putting up BS at the rim off 1 foot.
He's 7'5". He's 7 foot.
Yeah, but playing off 2 feet means that you get to 2 feet in the lane and you see there's a shot blocker, and instead of taking a bad shot, you're going to kick out. That it's smarter to play off 2 feet because of that. So I don't see that happening with Wemby.
For the record, he's blocked 10 shots in a game twice in his NBA career. Has not done it yet this year. 9 in is his season high. I think tonight is matchup where I see him sending Josh Hart packing 5 times individually. Jalen Brunson, get that out of here 3+ times. I like Wemby to dominate. Brace, where you at?
Oh man, I want to go Spurs, but I want to see the Knicks win it just so we can see those fans take everything that they've said about the NBA Cup, not mean anything. I have to tweet or delete it, going out into the streets celebrating like they just won something. You're right, grand scheme of things, Sam. Nothing. It means nothing. Look what happened with the Bucks. Oh, we're not celebrating with champagne. Who cares? None of that matters. But this is for the fans. Like, how about throw us a bone here? Let's have some fun here. Like, I'd hate to go to the college game, but like with bowl season, they're trying to take away the bowls, eliminate the bowls. Like, the bowls are for the fans. It's fun, right? And for the players. I would imagine competing in a championship game in the middle of December out of nowhere. It's got to be fun for the players as well. So give us something tonight, right? Like the referees, take the whistle out of your mouth.
Please.
Let's let these guys play and let's have some fun watching an NBA Cup final that everybody was making fun of for the past couple seasons. What are they doing? Soccer this, blah, 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 blah. You got 2 really good teams, 2 teams that you can make the conversation or the argument that they have a better starting 5 than the other. The best player on the floor is who? Because I would say it's Wemby. But I think you can make the case that it's Brunson.
The case has already been made by the proof in the pudding. What's been on the basketball court the last 3 seasons? It's obviously Brunson at this point in time.
Right here, right now. We're talking tonight only. You think Jalen Brunson is absolutely better than Wembanyama?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Right now, Jalen Brunson's absolutely better than what's he averaging? 29 points this season, top 7 in the league in scoring. He's been unbelievable this year. And no one talks about him because everyone likes the new guy on the block. Everyone likes the Tyrese Maxey and Cade Cunningham, and those guys get all the attention. But there's a guy who's been doing this for 3 years and still doing it at an unbelievable first-team All-NBA level.
Both guys are top 15 NBA players right now. I think there's no debate about that. I just have Wemby slightly higher on that list.
Look, let's see Wemby play basketball for 2 consecutive months because nobody's seen it. Before I put him on any list, I want to see him play basketball consecutively.
Did play 71 games as a rookie. I will note that with Wemby there. You did mention with Wemby, though, Sam, that him coming off the bench in the previous game. We also saw this down in New Orleans with Zion being reduced to a bench role for the short term as he works his way through his injury stuff. What's your thought process on that, sort of psychologically and sort of a mix from a team? Do you like that decision, or how do you feel about that on both?
Yeah, the Spurs have been playing so well offensively without Wembanyama. They're actually better on the floor offensively when he's on the bench. So, and that's not going to last full time. But when a guy who's re-implementing himself into the lineup and into what the Spurs are doing, I kind of like it, especially because he's going to be on a minutes restriction anyway. So you might as well him run with some second unit guys where maybe your offense won't be as good, but with him on the floor, your defense is going to be unbelievable. So it's like it's a give and take, but limit his minutes, which is what they're doing, and have him come off the bench as he makes the return. Now, tonight, he'll probably move back in the starting lineup. Maybe he'll be on a minutes restriction, maybe close to like 25, 30 minutes tonight for him. He's not going to be playing over 35 minutes, but I kind of like the move from seeing him come off the bench.
Brace, what are your thoughts on that, on sort of keeping your star off the bench for the start?
Yeah, get him in there. I get it. There are times it probably makes sense, and they know their team better than me. But this is a game that we want to see the best of the best play, and hopefully these coaches realize it. Like I get it. This isn't anything that's worthwhile as far as a championship is concerned, but this is an opportunity to play in a big time game where the NBA is on pause, everybody's tuned in. It's in a special location in Vegas. Hopefully the seats are filled up. I think Knicks fans will be there to a point. I don't know about San Antonio. It would be better if the Lakers were in Vegas, obviously. But between these 2 teams, they got pretty good fan bases, good players. Let's see what's going on. And, oh, by the way, great performances the previous games, which is huge. I think the Knicks game was really entertaining, and the fact that the Spurs were able to knock off OKC. Maybe a lot of people weren't watching, but that final score definitely came across their screen. It was like, damn. So now they have interest in this one. I want to pull for the Knicks. I do. And I just feel like this is going to be a tight ball game. And if the Spurs are hanging around, I think some special stuff will happen with Wemby being out there, and they'll find a way to win this game. But for the sake of the content, the timeline, those idiot Knick fans, I want to see. Sorry, Sam, I didn't mean to rip your friends. I want to see the Knicks win this so they can spin it. Oh man, this is the greatest thing ever! Crying. Oh, this is what it feels like. I can't believe it.
I will say one
fan perspective. I ain't never won squat.
I will say something you just mentioned is one of the problems with the NBA Cup, and that's the location. It shouldn't be in Vegas anymore because those atmospheres are just dry. I mean, just it's as cool as the town Vegas is and cool kind of place where sport events can come together. NBA Cup doesn't sell it like that. So nobody's coming to Vegas for the NBA Cup in terms of fans. Like, yeah, if you're in LA, sure, that first season because it's LA. Nobody's making the cross-country trip to Vegas for the NBA Cup on a Tuesday night if you're the Knicks fan. Even on Saturday night, it was pretty dead atmosphere. So
in this economy, a lot has changed. You know, they gave it a shot. I think that they had a good idea here with the NBA Cup, bringing it into its existence. But clearly, everything is down across the board, including tourism at the top of the list. Ain't nobody going anywhere these days, and sure as hell ain't going to Vegas in the middle of December.
To your point, Vegas is a dying city, so like people aren't going there anyway. So I mean that's a different conversation for another day, but it's true to a
2 years ago it was doing all right. 3 years ago it was doing all right.
It's just like online gambling has really shut down the in-person casino experience. So it's like, what's the point of going to Vegas right now?
Definitely had a little bit of a hit, but one town that does do it right is Vegas. You're right about that.
For sure.
Before we move on, we don't really talk about the Knicks. This team is the best team in the East.
Second.
That's a fact. Second best team in the NBA, I'd say, honestly. And we just don't really talk about them other than when they have a matchup and we say.
Why do you say with certainty they're the best team in the East? Because as I take a quick gander over the standings, that does not seem to be accurate to me.
Because they've won 9 out of 10, I believe, or maybe 8 out of 10, whatever it is, like 9 out of 11. And the Pistons have not won that. They've fallen off a little bit, and the Knicks are coming and will be the 1 seed. But really why I say it is because I'll tell you, Josh Hart was inserted into the starting lineup a few weeks ago. There's 42 five-man lineups in the NBA who have played over 70 minutes together. Do you know who's number one by far in net rating? It's the Knicks starting lineup.
Okay.
No, it's the close. It's the Knicks. Keontae George. What a game last night from him and Laurie Markkinen. That was a great game. It's the Knicks starting lineup, and this starting lineup has been the best in basketball since Josh Hart moved to the starting lineup. And part of it is because how good Josh Hart has been. Some of the problems with the Knicks last year were that it was just too much Josh Hart, right? Like when Josh Hart was shooting the ball as poorly as he was, it was just too much Josh Hart because what the Knicks opposing teams would do is they would put a 4 on Karl-Anthony Towns, and so they could switch that ball screen with him and Jalen Brunson, like you saw Tobias Harris was in the playoffs for the Pistons last year. And then Josh Hart would be wide open because their center would just dig in and they wouldn't even guard Josh Hart. And this guy couldn't make wide open threes last year. It was just too much Josh Hart offensively. He's shooting over 40% from 3 since he was moved in the starting lineup. So he's been incredible. So you can't put a 5-man on him. You can't. And guys been leaving him open. Teams are starting to do that less now because the shooting's been consistent. But you can't leave Josh Hart open because he's going to drill threes. So now the Knicks can spam the pick and roll a little bit better. And when fives are guarding Karl-Anthony Towns, which will be interesting if Wemby guards him tonight, it's a matchup nightmare in that pick and roll. So this Knicks team has figured it out. They're good enough defensively right now, 11th in the league, where it hasn't been a problem. You could say that could be a problem in the future. Another part is Mitchell Robinson is the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. This guy, every single time he's on the floor, it seems like he gets an offensive rebound. He puts so much pressure on the rim, and guys have to box him out. So the team on defense can't even get out in transition. And he just kicks it out for 3 every time he gets an offensive rebound. And it's against the scrambled defense. The Knicks are wide open, swing, easy 3. This Knicks team, you could say I'm a fan. You could call me a Glazer. Whatever you want to say. It's not true. I'm just telling you that when I watch this basketball team, I see a great basketball team, especially since Josh Hart has moved to the starting lineup.
A couple of flaws that I'll note in that exact breakdown right there. For starters, Josh Hart is a fake shooter. We all know that. He's shooting well right now. We know the better story of his career. That if I'm just going to reflect on a couple numbers, that he shot 33.3% from 3 last year, shot 31% from 3 the year prior. And by the way, even with this hot streak, he's shooting 38.1% on the season. That's good numbers. That's solid right there. That is not elite caliber shooter, and I do believe that it will regress to the mean and he will come back to normal. Mitchell Robinson, I absolutely agree with you. He has an awesome knack for getting that offensive rebound and kick out for the 3. And it feels like they shoot 100% on those shot opportunities right there. But you're getting like maybe 15 minutes a game from Mitchell Robinson. And that is until the next time that he pops up on the injury report, as we have to have that same sort of caveat when we talk about him right there. I don't know if they fully fixed these problems, Sam. Like, I still think we're seeing too much Josh Hart. I still don't think that
You
they're.
can't say we're seeing too much Josh Hart now when he's been shooting at this level and playing. And he's unbelievable transition player. He's efficient in transition and everything. All the little things. Like every single team in the NBA wants a Josh Hart.
Sure.
It's just how much Josh Hart is there, and there was too much last year, and really too much the year before because of his offensive limitations. Look, that's something to monitor the rest of the year, whether Josh Hart can remain a 3-point threat. There are reasons to believe that he might slip up a little bit, but we've also seen guys develop into 3-point shooters out of nowhere sometimes. So right now, what we're seeing from him is a great 3-point shooter and a guy you can't leave open.
Yeah.
What are we seeing from real quick on this? If you would not mind, take it, whoever, maybe our resident Knicks fan, but what's been the big difference with Mike Brown? What has he changed this year? And is that going to be a significant difference come playoff time for the Knicks?
So I think it will be, because what you're seeing is it's not necessarily reflected in the numbers. They're running a lot more, getting over half court faster, and then playing Brunson off the ball more, where they're just moving the ball. It's not as much bright Brunson isolation. Like
still a lot.
But they're moving the ball a ton, super quick, moving the ball from side to side, getting a lot of different guys involved, not spamming Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson pick and roll. It's a lot of different guys who have roles and getting touches on this offense. Like Brunson's seconds per touch are down. The Knicks aren't shooting as much late in the shot clock. They're shooting early in the shot clock, getting into their actions quicker. It's just a much more free-flowing offense where everyone's involved. And yeah, late in games, they're still going to go to Brunson isolation. They're still going to go to Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson pick and roll in big moments. But they have these secondary looks where they didn't have that last year. It was all Brunson isolation last year, and he had to bring the ball up the court against a high pickup point and some good defensive pressure. Now it's Mikal Bridges handling all that. So those are some of the big offensive differences I've seen that's really helped them.
My answer to that question, Brace, for starters, I do think that there is like a change in personality that was necessary in the organization, that Mike Brown is a little bit more expressive and vocal, and he's going to joke around in a way that you're just never going to get with Tom Thibodeau right there. And I do think that is beneficial overall. I've been stunned when I look at the numbers, how similar it is to last year, that there really is not these like massive changes in things. And honestly, as far as the look thing, that how it is to me is rather than last year when it just be Jalen Brunson takes the ball up the floor, dribbles for 18 seconds, and then shoots a step back three. Now there's two meaningless passes on the perimeter. The ball gets to Brunson, and then he dribbles around for 15 seconds and takes a step back three. It's sort of how it feels to me.
It's not meaningless because those passes are rotating the defense. Like Brunson's getting more catch opportunities against a scrambled defense where he can thrive off the catch, and then he can make something work. So it's not just like they're meaningless passes. That's part of it, where it's not just him initiating the whole time. You have other guys to initiate, and then the ball gets to Brunson.
Sure, I'll give you that. I also shout out to our guy Gershon Yabusele, who is stinking it up over there. I will confess that yesterday I was playing around with Trade Machine, trying to find a way to get him back to Philadelphia. A bit more difficult than I wanted it to be. I don't see the pathway to happening, but I would love to bring Yabu back. Free the man.
He's been awful. He's signed a player option, so he's a player option. So before he gets sent back to France, he might have one more opportunity to prove himself.
New York a little bit different than Philly, just a little bit.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on why. Like, he was a good player last year, and I know like Sam has acknowledged and we've talked about, like, he's just played a lot of basketball in like the past 2 years, as far as the Olympics, the Eurobasket, everything that he's sort of put is maybe he's kind of hitting just his body's exhausted stretch. But it just looks different this year, and I can't really figure out exactly why. He's pretty much out of the rotation, that they don't really lean on him whatsoever. I'm disappointed, man. I thought Yabu was going to be like a really effective signing for them, and that it does bum me out. I like rooting for that guy.
I think they did too, and he only really plays when Mitchell Robinson is out.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's hard to play in that role when you don't know night in, night out if you're going to get minutes, and you have such a short leash. Where on the Sixers last year, he was impact player from the start, and then by the end of the year he was like the guy because they had nobody. But to your point about Mike Brown and his approach, I think that's huge because he's not like this guy who's stern, stuck in his own ways, old school at all, which is what Tom Thibodeau was. Josh Hart wasn't starting. Him and Josh Hart had a conversation. The rest of the coaching staff told Mike Brown, like, we think you should go to Josh Hart in the starting lineup, and he listened, and he went to Josh Hart in the starting lineup, and they've been one of the best teams in the NBA ever since. It's like he has such a collaborative approach where that was just not the case with Thibs at all.
Yeah. You're absolutely right there. Now let's transition and talk a little bit of Sixers here. Now, Brace, I know you mentioned being a little bit of excitement for Paul George, and we did see a resurgence of the old heads on this roster. The max contract guys looking like max contract guys for the first time all season. Joel Embiid dropping 39 points against the Indiana Pacers. I know it's the Pacers that we got to throw that caveat, but the fact that he showed that first gear is still available was the encouraging thing to me. And perhaps even more encouraging to me is 2 days later, he steps back on the floor. The first time all season that he's played 3 consecutive games. The first time all season that he's played 2 games in the span of 3 days. Embiid has played over 30 minutes in 4 of the last 5 games after not doing it in any games at the start of the season. And Paul George, averaging 20 points per game over his past 5, has scored it in 3 consecutive. They're proving that they are not just gone. Brace, what are you seeing from sort of the old guys on this roster?
Well, I'll start with Embiid. Again, I'm not going to allow myself to get caught up. It's great to see it. I'm happy. I'm not pulling against Joel Embiid. It's just I have to be realistic with my expectations. And, look, there is a little something after the game where it's just still up in the air. Oh, I'm doing it. I'm still not there. It's like, dude, it's December 15th and you're hopping on the TV saying it's still not. Like, it's just so frustrating. It's such a kick in the to me as the fan here that, like, all right, man, like, what, these games don't mean anything to you, Joel? And but then you get into the big conversation that we've had for years now. It's like, well, if he gets to March or April and he's healthy, then that's a win. That's all that matters. I get it. That's it. Fine. Whatever. So, like, Joel, go out there. Thank you for performing in a night that Tyrese Maxey wasn't out there. Thank you for dominating Pascal Siakam and Indiana Pacers. I appreciate that. You look great. Now, consistency. Can we see that every time that you do suit up if you're not going to suit up every game? Can we do away with the games where you're going to be 4-17? And I get it. He's easing into it. We'll see. But with Joel Embiid, I'm not going to be that guy. I tuned in Mark Jackson on the pregame show, and he's like, I like the Sixers if Joel Embiid's healthy. And it's like, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, we've done that. Play great. I know you still have it in you, and we'll see what happens. He's obviously going to be a huge help if the Sixers are playing for anything down the stretch. Paul George, now I'm starting to get a little bit excited here, and maybe it might be egg on my face, come March. He's injury prone. We know he picks up those knocks. Knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But it feels like maybe Paul George is just a little step quicker than what I remember from last year. B, it feels like he's playing in this system. He's running. He's moving. He's passing. He's not afraid to pull up. He's hitting those shots. Maybe I'm making a little bit more of a case than what he really is showing out there as far as on the positive side. But I'm loving it. Again, I didn't have anything from Paul George, but if he can give you what he's been able to do, stay healthy, that is a guy that I know will be able to help you come playoff time. And again, it all comes back to Tyrese Maxey. My man's hurt or a little sick under the weather. It's going around. Everybody stay safe out there. I just had it for a week. And let me tell you, there's no way that I could have played an NBA basketball game. That's damn sure. So
could you when you're healthy?
Yeah,
exactly. So, Maxey is the real damn deal. I saw some people talking about all pro this year, absolutely all-star. People are talking about him being 1-2 punch as far as guards are concerned in the East, like all the things that we have been saying this year. So he's starting to get those conversations going and be involved with all of them. It's a great thing to see. Sixers are just fun to watch right now. And going into this season, Sam said we need to change our approach, our expectations, go in, not expecting to see this team compete for anything, and let's just have some fun. That's where I'm at, and it's been a lot of fun.
I got to say real quick, Brace, have you changed your background a little bit? Is that new artwork over the Embiid mural, or was that always there?
No, I changed I'm back up against this wall on the other side, so it's like Embiid's over here to the right.
Okay, I
thought
maybe we covered Embiid with some new artwork.
You were having a nice little spat. I believe it was Paul Hudrick on Twitter about sort of the Embiid.
Yeah, I'm just done with the puff pieces. I'm done with the, this is year 3.
What would you consider a puff piece here?
That
I didn't see that. What happened?
Like when you don't say anything negative about Joel Embiid and it's just like, well, I'm going to pull for him. It's like, come on, man. Like we have to be honest with this. He's been just as much as his own worst enemy over these past few seasons than I believe the fans have. Like, this isn't unfair to have criticism. And Paul's like, whoa, it's just 1 minute. Like, I get how it works. You write an article, it's your opinion. I get it, but you're writing it for a reason. So here, I'm going to give you my and oh, by the way, I was a little under the weather, so maybe I was a little, itchy trigger finger. But at the end of the day, the puff pieces, dude, they got to end. They got to end.
Back on that point a little
bit.
He
showed up the other day after getting he was out of the game. The Sixers rule him out on Saturday. Sunday, he shows up at 5:30 late for the shoot around.
He's upgraded in the morning.
He was upgraded in the morning, sure. But guess what? Sixers, the people that I spoke to, still didn't know where the hell the guy was at 5 o'clock. Didn't know if he was going to be playing in that game. Goes out there, has to be asked to leave the floor post shoot around when the teams went back because he was late. He is still doing the things that he was called out for by Tyrese Maxey last year. Like, how wasn't that team meeting being written in the puff piece? Like, that's the deal that I have with Joel Embiid, man. He was handed the keys to the castle. No one ever held his feet to the fire. And now he's our year 13, whatever it is. And it's just like, all right, dude, like, we know the story about Joel Embiid, how great he is. But come on, man, be real with what he's his own worst enemy at times.
I mean, there's certainly stuff that has been indefensible. Like the game he scored 70. He scored up 15 minutes or showed up 15 minutes before the game, throwing a jersey on, not even warming up. And then he goes out there and does that. The root of all this, like, it happened years ago, that there never was like the culture or like the, I guess, what needed to be laid in stone, the foundation there never was. And I've always stuck to the phrase that I believe the Sixers organization has failed Joel Embiid far more than Joel Embiid has failed the Sixers organization. But the thing that I would push back on sort of like the puff piece angle is Joel, I can never quite put my finger on this. He's the only player that the situation is his body's failing him. That's the reality. His body is failing him, and that to me is sad. And I feel like when you look around at like the Grant Hills, the Brandon Roys, Yao Ming, Greg Oden, you can go down the list here. There's such like a feeling of sympathy for those guys. And it does feel to me like Joel gets like none of that. So Sam, do you agree with that? And has this week sort of changed your outlook?
I'm just reading this Twitter spat now, making me laugh. I think anybody who's lived in the city of Philadelphia and follows basketball, talks to anybody about basketball, knows that Embiid doesn't exactly roll in early for tip-offs. That's just common knowledge in the city of Philadelphia. So we'll just leave it there. I mean, that's like if you lived in Ann Arbor, you knew that something was going on with Sharon Moore for the last 2 months. It's just like sometimes you know things, even if you're not going to say them. It's just one of these unspoken truths.
Different levels there.
For sure. I'm just saying what people know. 100%. I'm just saying what people know. People know things, even if they're not always explicitly said. That it's just common knowledge. To the Embiid point, my mind goes to the fact that these two games happened without Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
And whether that means something or not. Because you can't build around and have your offense revolve around Joel Embiid for multiple reasons. Number one, I don't think he's that player, even if he can be that player for nights or 2 weeks, even stretches at a time. I don't think he's that player. But most importantly, is because that's what they were or planning to be last season. And look how disastrous that was, where you didn't have a plan all those nights he wasn't going to play, because there's going to be a lot of nights where he doesn't play. You don't know if he's going to play, or weeks at a time where he doesn't play. So it's one of those things where you don't want to build your offense around a guy where you're throwing it to him a bunch in the mid post and him kind of operating as a hub of an offense like he had for the beginning of Nick Nurse's tenure. All right. That's number one. Number two is that this has to be Tyrese Maxey's team. Everything has to run through Tyrese Maxey. This team was operating better when Tyrese Maxey was coming off Embiid screens, and VJ Edgecombe was coming off Embiid screens, who's still a great screen setter, and he can get into his rhythm that way. That's my concern with Embiid's last 2 nights. It's that we know we can have these performances again. It's will he stay healthy, and can he operate more in the flow of a Tyrese Maxey offense? And those questions weren't and haven't been answered, and we don't know until we see those guys play together over a month-long stretch.
I apologize. I heard everything. I had the headphones. I had to go upstairs real quick. Baby's crying. But I would just say, and you know what, Sean, like I thought that piece of Liberty Ballers was well written, right? I just like, come on, man. I know you wrote one at Crossing Broad, but at the same time, you are not afraid to point out the flaws and some of the things that, we've known over the years. Like, There's
He's
been
not perfect. Yeah.
No, by no means he's not. And I almost want to push back on you saying the 76ers have done worse to him than whatever. Like
that's speaking in the wide scale of his career.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
But it's also to your point earlier. It's like, yeah, injuries have derailed Embiid's career. He's not blameless for those injuries piling up.
Correct.
He's not. He's
Except if you actually want to dig through the injuries, it's
No,
like
you're right.
broken face,
Face,
all
the
like
those are minor injuries. I'm talking about the major.
Yeah, but those
structural knee
derailed a lot of potential success that they could have.
They didn't derail real playoff runs. When
Yes,
he,
they
Embiid had
absolutely
Oh man,
did.
that face, that
missed
Markel
games against the
Fultz.
Heat. He did it on Markel. He broke.
Yeah, it was
he
a
broke
1-1
his face
series
3
coming back
times.
from in that Heat series. He missed some time against the Nets in that
They were
first
down
round.
0-2. They were down 0-2.
Bell's
They won the
palsy.
next 2 with Joel, and then they dropped the next.
My bad. I'm thinking of the Celtics series.
Yeah,
where Harden
look.
dropped 50 and Embiid missed that game. Harden
But
dropped 50. It was 1-1.
I don't want to get bogged down. I would just say, I was definitely itchy trigger finger. So maybe I was a little over the top on Paul, and I didn't mean that. But I also do know, and if you listen to the Gambler for the last 6 years, we have people that are inside that organization that have told us things. Joel Embiid has done things behind the scenes, and we could have blamed it on immaturity, blamed it on the fact that his feet aren't being held to the fire. But for crying out loud, when Tyrese Maxey calls you out, you don't get upset at the fact being called out. You get upset at the league, right? You want to be frustrated over the fact that this is out there, not like, damn, maybe I need to look myself in the mirror. And then what do? You get rewarded a brand new contract. Does he deserve it? Does he deserve it? Maybe. Did he earn it? No. So here we are, man. Can we change it up just a little bit? Like, this isn't about you anymore. And he's still doing the same things that got him in hot water last year. And you could sit there and Paul could say that they've moved on. All right, cool. If that's what you hear, fine. But guess what, man? Let's see how this season plays out. And they've missed the playoffs. I would imagine some things are going to be said because you can't be continuing showing up, rolling in and scoring 70 like he did 3 seasons ago. It's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen in 2025-26. So you need a little bit more at this point in time of his career. And damn it, Tyrese Maxey deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, it's an awful attitude that I might have by saying this, but it's almost sad to watch him have these 39-point games, knowing how if he was healthy and maybe was more mature earlier in his career and had a different attitude and all these things, how generationally special this guy could have been and how many championships the Sixers could have not even won, just competed for, made further playoffs.
If he was wired different.
That plus the injury factor.
We know
they don't take 2 number 1 overall picks who have no clue how to shoot the basketball.
No one's saying the Sixers didn't also fail him, but both those guys went together. It was the Embiid's immaturity early on and the Sixers failing him in a lot of ways. And that's just how it came out to be. And that's why it's been more disappointing than it should be when you have the talent Embiid have, which is why I'm saying it's sad when you watch him drop 39 a game. You're like, he's this talented where he can be hurt. He can be 60% of what he was, and he's still that good. And it's like, there's not going to be any type of team success to showcase his talent.
He's 12th in the league in points per 36 minutes right now. Currently, this version of Joel Embiid he's unbelievable.
That's ridiculous.
The thing that I'll say, why I think my tune has changed slightly this past week is I think the larger takeaway of this season, certainly the beginning of it, was all this influx of youthful talent that we're excited about. VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey has taken another leap. We're seeing flashes from the Dominic Barlows of the world, Adem Bona, Jabari Walker. There's guys on this team that are taking that next level. Quentin Grimes, that it wasn't a fluke that what we saw last year. And then this week, the takeaway for me was sort of, okay, the Max guys are not just done, that there is something in the tank. And that 39 points, I know, you're saying, we know he can still do this. I didn't. That I was starting to doubt that was still out there. That was the most points in a game that he had scored since he dropped 50 in the Knicks series, the most in a regular season game since the 70 that he scored against Victor Wembanyama 3 years ago. That was the most points that he had scored in a game like that. I needed to see that first gear still existed in him. Now, how these two sort of timelines still come together is to be determined. You're absolutely right, both of you guys, that this is Tyrese Maxey's team. There's no doubt about it when fully constructed here. But you need the skill sets of Joel Embiid and Paul George. And it all has to work together in a way that I just needed to see that first gear still existed in both these old heads.
I saw somebody tweet on the timeline. They called Maxey the dictator.
Yeah, I did see that.
People are just idiots, man. They're just idiots.
The Paul George thing is the most encouraging thing for me because he'll never be the max player you signed him to be, and that's fine at this point. Of course, it's a diminished return, but that's fine. You want him to be a capable, high value player, and he's been that. Like he's shooting 43% on his threes this year. He's been
53% on corner threes this year.
That's unbelievable. He's been a great catch guy. And also, he can create still, and he still has the athleticism and ball skills to create for himself. So Paul George has been really impressive, and that's what they need. Like, when you signed him to a max deal, you were expecting him to be the third guy to an MVP level Embiid and Maxey. Now, he can be a guy who fits into an all-NBA level Maxey, and you have VJ Edgecombe's rise and development as a rookie, and you have such a deep team with assuming Kelly Oubre comes back and he looks good. When Dominic went with Dominic Barlow and Trenton Wofford when he comes back, like this should be a really deep team when healthy. And Paul George only adds value to that. So I've been really impressed with him. He'll never be the player they signed him to be, but he is a capable, contributing, winning player right now.
Yeah, and I think like the Paul George complaints, there largely hasn't been a ton when he's been on the floor. It's been the lack of time that he's been playing. Like for the most part, when this dude has played, he's been a competent NBA player that I've been satisfied with. And I'll also note, especially of late, when it's Paul George and VJ Edgecombe on the floor together, defensively, they are terrific at getting in passing lanes, creating turnovers, showing a little athleticism there. That I'm really intrigued by how this can all come together. So I did want to wrap up with this final question. Shout out to our guy, Kyle Fisher, getting involved in the conversation. He said, join late. How do you guys feel about McCain's performance and progress? I've been the number one Jared McCain guy that has stood up here.
You muted yourself there.
Yeah. You absolutely have been the number one Jared McCain supporter.
Yes.
We got you.
You got your microphone's on. And he's got a lot of people that are on TikTok that support him. So you're at the top of that list.
Is he? I haven't checked his TikTok feed in a while. How's his TikTok feed?
He's still churning them out. But what I will say is for Jared McCain in particular, the tough part of the situation this year is the Sixers are not good enough to justify what his minutes are, that I do think you need to prioritize his development, but they're also not bad enough to justify that you just got to give this guy free reign when he isn't looking good. Like the reality is, like Jared McCain is a good player. I'm confident will find himself with more opportunity, but he has not looked like the Jared McCain of last year just yet. And Nurse kind of can't have the patience of waiting for that to happen.
There's two problems with Jared McCain. It's that one, he's on a really deep guard rotation. Like VJ Edgecombe's rise as a rookie has been more than any of us would have expected. And then also Quentin Grimes has been pretty good, has his flaws, but I like Quentin Grimes as a player. So he's in a deep guard rotation. And the second part is he doesn't defend. And it's like, what are you going to put a backcourt with him and Maxey out there? Like him and Grimes out there? Nick Nurse does not trust him to defend. And that's where the ultimate playing time discrepancies come in.
I'm not down with trading him though.
No. I
don't think you trade him because like what are you trading him for? Like a win now move? The Sixers don't have. There's not a win now move out there for the Sixers. That they're going to become this best team in the East and win the East this year. So I wouldn't make a win now move. I still think you keep him. You see how the Quentin Grimes free agency plays out next offseason. And then you kind of see what he can become when he has a full offseason of actual training and not these injuries and some mental hurdles to get over. So I'm not like out on Jared McCain, but I also understand why Nurse is struggling to find time for him.
Yeah, the thought of trading him does scare me, that I do think that guy could be a star in another location. I do not want to see that happen. I think he can be a star in Philadelphia if things fully click right here. So I don't want to give up on that. But to throw on the hypothetical hat right here, Sam Oshtry, the Houston Rockets call you right now and say, we want Jared McCain. Here's Tari Eason. What do you say?
Probably not.
Okay.
I think Terry Eason's a good player. I think Jared McCain's upside is higher, especially as an offensive talent. That I just don't think you do that right now. First off, the Rockets would never do that. Rockets can't play anybody who doesn't defend. And Reed Shepard's even been a solid defender. That's why he didn't play for them as a rookie. But he's such a great offensive player and a three-point shooter where it's worth it. So he wouldn't even play for the Rockets. But I wouldn't do that if I'm the Sixers. Like I'd rather bank on Jared McCain's upside, where like Terry Eason's a really good role player, I think. But his upside isn't what McCain's is.
Did you see that video from practice at the Houston Rockets with Shepard? And like he's at the top of the key. He made them all miss.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's face, like jaw was on the floor. Like what? Yeah, Reed Shepard DH Gate jersey might be purchased for the summertime. Just saying, you might see me rocking around Stone Harbor with a Reed Shepherd Houston Rockets.
That's definitely would be a popular Avalon Stone Harbor jersey for sure. Just like everyone's rocking Cooper DeJean out there. Reed Shepherd, one of the best 3-point shooters I've seen come in this league in a long time. We forget that he shot like almost 50% from three in college at Kentucky. And he's
like 2 steals a game in college too.
He can be, if he has the right point guard, right situation, a guy who breaks some like crazy 3-point records, and his volume in a few years when he's in a different situation could be like 12 to 15 points per game. So I'm a huge Reed Shepherd guy, even though defense isn't still there. And there was definitely that concern in opening night, which is why the Rockets maybe wouldn't play him as much. But his shooting and his offensive prowess is so unbelievable. Who cares what he does defensively?
Yeah, I am a Reed Shepherd guy. I was frustrated by the lack of opportunity last year, and he got thrown to the fire after the Fred VanVleet injury, but he's absolutely living up to it. So a ton of exciting stuff around the NBA. I'll wrap up with my final thoughts right here. My Sean Bernard lock of the day, I'm going Spurs money line, Victor Wembanyama, 25 points. That little parlay there sitting around plus 330. That's how I would lock things in for tonight. But boys, any final thoughts from you, Sean Brace?
Quick question is, where is the breakdown as far as tonight 3-point shooting? Is Karl Anthony Towns going to seep out? Do you think he's going to get a couple more threes up? Josh Hart, he didn't hit a 3 in that game against the Magic. Do you think that he comes back and has a bounce back performance? A couple low numbers there on both of those guys.
Interesting matchup question, because it really depends if Wemby is going to guard Josh Hart and kind of like sag off him a little bit, or if he's going to guard Karl Anthony Towns, and they're going to put or if Wemby guards Josh Hart, they'll put a 4 or a smaller guy on Karl Anthony Towns, and that might lead to some pick and pop from Karl Anthony Towns. So it's really that matchup question, but I think Karl Anthony Towns is going to have a big night regardless.
Okay.
I think that they throw Wemby on Josh Hart and force Josh Hart to beat them would be my guess for how the Spurs do guard. Allow Wemby to be a little bit more of the roamer on the defensive end, which is where I think he is at his best when that is the case. So we'll see. I think Josh Hart's going to get some 3-point volume. I like Wemby to shoot from the perimeter tonight as well. I've also been rocking the Devin Vassell 3-pointers quite often. That dude has one of the better shooters in the league.
Great 3-and-D player. Great 3-and-D player.
He deserves a little bit more love in the national conversation. So I like where your head's at with Cat as well, Sean Brace. I think it'll be a fun game.
I just want it on record that I do have the Spurs winning tonight. So I don't want you guys to tweet at me like, "Oh my God, the Knicks, go hang a banner, go out, celebrate." It's Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, by the way.
That's man. Happy Hanukkah, man. Happy Hanukkah. I went into the archives and looked at the 1999 NBA Finals between these two teams. Just looking at the box score: Latrell Sprewell, the Admiral, Avery Johnson, some great names out there, including Rick Brunson. Brunson getting an appearance in that NBA Finals. Didn't do anything, but still. Look, I want to say the Knicks are going to win today. I'm going to stick to my guns. I think the Knicks do win. It won't shock me, though, if this is a tight game. Spurs find a way to win. But I'll take the Knicks here. I think it's a big Karl Anthony Towns night. I think he fills it up from downtown, so that's where my mind is at. And let's just have some fun. NBA, I'm cupped up, boys. I'm cupped up.
Let's do it. So we'll be locked in for the cup tonight. Appreciate you guys for tuning into this episode of the Pace and Space podcast right now. Make sure you're subscribing wherever you are listening at, whether that is on the Pick Swap Media YouTube channel, over on Spotify, Apple Pods, the Gambler Gang YouTube, or any of our socials. Make sure you're hitting that follow as well. So appreciate you guys for rocking with us again today. We'll be back talking with you next time right here on the Pace and Space podcast.